If you went to a doctor and you were in pain, he would ask you the question, where does it hurt? He'd want you to point to the place that is the source of the pain. Unfortunately, for so many of us, while family is a source of joy and hope and life and promise, it's also a source of pain. And around Christmas time, we can feel tempted to want to pretend that it's only the good and none of the bad. And as a church, we don't want to pretend, and we don't want to make you feel like you need to pretend. And so what we're going to be doing throughout the Advent season is we're going to be letting Jesus lead the way in being honest about our family. And Jesus is honest about his family in the fact that when the Gospel of Matthew is written, there are several stories that we find that all involve stories of tragedy, of betrayal, of heartache, of bitterness, of pride. And Jesus doesn't pretend that those don't exist. He includes those in his story. He lets us know that that is a part of where he comes from, and he invites us to know that if that's where Jesus comes from, then maybe we have a place in the story of what he's doing right now. And so what we're going to be doing as a church is we're going to be looking at several stories in Matthew's genealogy. Last week we looked at the story of Tamar and the heartbreak of a woman who was wounded and wounded and wounded, and yet in her heartbreak chose to make a wrong decision. This week we're going to look at the story of Rahab, a woman that might be called scandalous, might be called sinful and wicked, and yet is written into God's story. Next week we're going to look at the story of Ruth, a woman from a clan and a group of people that should have been as far from God as anybody, and yet who God includes in his story. And then we're going to go on to a topic that it says the woman's name is not even included. It just says the wife of Uriah, bringing up a heartbreaking betrayal and failing in the life of King David. And then we're not going to end in kind of all that up and down sadness. We are going to end on Christmas Day with the story of Mary and how she heard the news that she was going to be included in the story that God was telling for the whole world. We really hope that it's going to be an opportunity for us to be honest and joyous and hopeful and excited, and also recognize that Christmas season is one of pain and history and baggage, and you can bring all of that. We hope that you're willing to do that with us. We're excited to do that with you, and we hope to see you in the next few weeks.